everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and this is the sped up version of the live stream from February 28th, 2019. The live stream over on Art Joy is Sharing live stream channel, where usually Peg and I, Peg Robinson and I, do live stream together. But today it was just me. So I was talking about making painty papers the old school way, using mark making and just general stuff around your house. And the paper that I am planning on using is this. I'm recycling this paper. This is under paper. I've got newsprint under paper, and I've got deli paper that already has some paint on it. And my idea was to use dilutions paints, which this is really kind of the only application I have, because I don't use the dilutions on my gel plate because they dry too quickly. But then, of course, I said that and then started out using a different paint. But I wanted to make a pastel colored one, and I don't have any pastels in the dilutions paints. They did come out with a whole set of them, but I don't have them. So I'm starting out with a brayer. At the beginning, you saw a lot of tools, and I was talking about a lot of different tools that you can use for this process. And they don't have to be things that are expensive. They can be things that are from the dollar store, things that are from the trash, or things that you just have around the house. However, that being said, a brayer is a good thing to have. Very useful tool and not terribly expensive, and can be used for a lot of things. So I started out with the brayer. Then I moved to a paint scraping tool, which another one that you could use if you didn't have this is just a cheap spatula, which I end up using on another one. But here I have the dilution paints out, and I'm just using this silicone paint scraper type thing from Art Basics Finnebear to scrape different coordinating papers across my second piece. Now I'm working in layers, and I end up having 4 pieces when I'm done, and they're not even finished. I still have, some of them still have layers that I need to put on them, but I'm working on something, setting it aside to dry, and then working on another one. And that's how you would do this. You would work in multiple groups to make these painty papers. What would you use them for? I'm going to use them in art journals. I'm going to use them on artist trading cards. I'm going to use them on altered tags. I'm going to use them on larger pieces of art. I'm going to use them for collage. I'm going to use them for all kinds of things. And the reason that I think it's a good idea to have this type of thing in your stash is because sometimes you really just don't have the time to sit down for 2 hours and make something, but you really need that creative outlet to release stress and to give you a sense of peace and calm. At least I do. And I know that in the upcoming several months, I'm going to need this. I'm going to need a place to escape, because some things are going down in my family that are I'm going to need this, but I'm not going to have a lot of time. So I want to build up my stash, and I will be continuing to do this type of activity of partially creating things, or creating papers that I can use in a flash, and then eventually making a collective book. And we'll be doing that at Art Joy of Sharing. We're talking about that type of stuff, just so that I'm always ready to go. At a moment's notice, I've got stuff I can take with me. I've got a bag to go so that I can go to, the hospital or the infusion center or whatever. I've got something that I can do quickly that will satisfy me in my creative process without really having to take a lot of time and effort to make something. So I think that everyone should have these type of stashes. You should have this type of availability to make something quickly, and for whatever reason, get out your stress, or you just need to do something creative, even if you've only got 15 minutes. So I think that building these type of painty papers is something that definitely we all should do. And so I hope that you guys, I know some people followed along during the live stream and made some painty papers. And as you can see, the things that I'm using for mark making are not expensive. These are just, a medication bottle or a lid top, or this one's a piece of plastic canvas, cardboard tubes, all these type of things, old gift cards or hotel key cards, uh, just inexpensive stuff. You don't have to even use expensive paint. You can use craft paint for this, where it dries very quickly and very matte. So, it's a good option for something like this. Use your recycled papers that you don't want to throw away. They have a little paint on them, but maybe they don't have enough. Um, they're not interesting enough, but you've got some paint on them. You can build on top of them doing mark making. So that's what I'm doing on these layers, is making marks using just, stuff, just a bin of stuff that I have around the house. Not expensive stencils, not, no gel plate, no anything like that. See, now I'm using a $1 Betty Crocker silicone spatula to scrape paint. If you like to scrape paint, that's a good option. I did have a little bit of trouble with my coffee bean colored dilutions, and I ended up having to throw that one away because it was hard. But I'm also using the gray. I'm using some titanium buff on this one, and that melted chocolate color. A viewer did send me 12 dilution paint pots that she was not planning on using, so I have duplicates of a couple of them, but most of them were colors I didn't have. So that was another reason that I was using dilutions today. And I was using a sponge brayer, which you could buy at a hardware store, to kind of calm down the paint. These things aren't drying as fast as I expected. Um, I thought that by the time I reached for the fourth one again, it would be dry, and they weren't. So I needed to kind of like press down some of the paint into a thinner layer. So here I'm mark making simply with my fingers. That's another thing that you can do to build up your interesting pattern and composition on your paper, is to just, use your fingers. Do some finger painting. Always great. This one, again, I'm like just using that sponge brayer to kind of calm down the paint. It's making stripes on my sponge brayer, which I throw that into a bucket of water. Here I have some wallpaper, drywall tape. I've got some shelf liner. I've got some sequin waste, which makes interesting marks with some sponging. And so I'm just going ahead and continuing layering on this paper. And the question that I'm going to be asked, and I already was asked, is when's it done? When are you finished with the paper? Well, you may never be finished with the paper. I don't know. The ones that you'll see at the end in the pictures, I don't consider them finished. I still had more things I wanted to do that I didn't fit in the hour and a half in the live stream. Maybe I should have only made a couple papers instead of 4, but I wanted to show all the type of tools and things that you can use that you just have around your house. So here's some packaging material that came with an electronic. I've got plastic packaging. I've got things that I have made using styrofoam, meat trays, styrofoam sheets. I've make stamps out of that. Fun foam stamps, just all the kinds of inexpensive ways that you can use junk, basically, to do mark making. That's what I was talking about during this. The shelf liner makes an interesting rectangular shape if you use it as a stamp. I think it's pretty cool. So I was showing that. Also, that piece of packaging with the rectangles that you see up above, I'll be using that one too. And then your brayer usually has an interesting pattern on it from doing that as well, so you can just roll it out on your clean paper if you want to make more stuff. And of course, the paper that's underneath here that's protecting my desk will end up being another one of these painty papers. So it's just kind of a never-ending process, but I do use this stuff in my art, in my mixed media art, as part of my layering and collage. I use this all the time. So I'm sure you'll see me using it in upcoming projects. So we're back to the pink and orange one. This one has a lot of warm colors. and I was getting out some other things, and the things that I was finding kind of said to me flower shapes. So I ended up using some of the different flower shaped things that I have in my bin. That one is a piece of cardstock that has been put in one of those embossing folders. I have some styrofoam ones. I have some with fun foam. What else did I have? Oh, some sequin waste that looks like flower shapes. Someone sent me that, and I don't know where they got it, but I know it's very inexpensive stuff that can be found here and there and around. You don't have to spend a lot of money on it. So going back in with the same colors, generally when I do painting papers, I pick a trio of colors. Sometimes they're a light, medium, and dark of the same color. Sometimes they are complementary colors, like in this case, pink and orange are both warm colors. They're complementary and they mix well together. And sometimes I do use contrasting colors and I just do it in layers and let one layer dry so that I don't mix those colors together, like blue and orange look beautiful together, but if you mix the two of them together, you get brown. And I'm not fond of brown. So, yeah, this is a simple, intuitive process that anyone can do. I hope that you guys will make some painting papers, and um, sometime in March, at the end of March, we're going to start putting together our collective books that have all kinds of stuff in them, and we're going to be making, these travel binders. I have it scheduled for the end of the month of March at this point on the Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel, which is at 9:30 Mountain, 10:30 Central every Thursday. So you can put that in your time conversion if you're not from the United States, or even if you are and you're not sure what different time that is. You can find that out on Google by just doing time conversion. It's in the morning for people in the morning, early afternoon for people in the United States, and early evening for most everyone else. So that's when the live stream is. This one is made out of a piece of styrofoam that I've just drawn some dents into it with a ball stylus, and then cut it out into a shape. And that I think that one's really fun. This one is that piece of embossed cardstock, and I just scraped some paint over it to see if I could catch the raised areas. You want it to be on the raised side, not the, well, either side would make a pattern, but I wanted the raised areas. So it makes kind of a flowery shaped pattern. I'll go back in on these with some pins, like right now I'm starting with the pastel one, just showing some Distress crayons and some Neocolor 2 crayons and some Posca pins. Anything that you have, even if it's just, your kids' markers or whatever, you can make some more marks, some more precise marks using pens or crayons, because they're a little bit easier to control. Or, of course, a paintbrush, a smaller paintbrush, and some paint. Also, you can make marks. So I was just showing that you can use these water-soluble pastels and then blend them with a wet rag. I really like that color. They say it's sky blue, but I think it's periwinkle. That's what I was saying. Then just some dashes. Just dashes. They are great marks. Dashes. I did that with a couple light colors. This one is supposed to be my pastel one, and I ended up getting that brighter pink on there, but you got to have contrast. So then I was showing these pastel Posca pins, and you can just, shake those and make splatters. I like it. I like splatters. That's another form of mark making. This brown one kind of looks like bark. It's definitely not finished. It has a lot of layers left to go. But I was just adding some sequin waste stenciling-ish stuff on there with a darker brown. Not the coffee bean. The coffee bean was dry, so I ended up getting some, I think it's burnt sienna. I hope you guys are enjoying this. The people in the chat were very lively today, and I did my best to keep up with the chat while trying to do stuff in a live stream. It's tricky. Of course, I had to get out some copper because, you know, it's copper. This stamp is pretty interesting. It's some kind of amoeba shapes cut out of styrofoam, and then I used a ball stylus to press in. So it's pretty fun stamp, and I thought it went well with those oval shaped things on there. Sorry, I had to yawn. From the sequin waist. And then this other one is just round circles, and I decided to bring back in some of the light colors as well. But this one has a lot more layers to go still. It's definitely not finished. I didn't get hardly any mark making on this one. Also, it's brown, but I was, you know, giving my shout out to Peg, who couldn't attend the live stream today, by using brown because she likes brown. So if you are enjoying this process and this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on that notification bell. Or check your notification bell to make sure that it hasn't accidentally been turned off, because that has happened to several people lately. Also, you can share this by pinning it on Pinterest or sharing it on Facebook if you know somebody who would be interested in this. So then I got out a shipping tag, and I just tore off a piece of that pastel one and glued it with some matte gel medium onto a shipping tag. You know, I love to make altered tags. The stamping there is from a stamp set from Gina Aaron's Etsy shop, and I just love that scribble writing stamp. I bought the whole stamp set just for that one, but there's some other really cool mark making stamps in it as well. And it wasn't quite dry, so then when I put the Liquitex matte medium, it faded that black into kind of a gray, which I liked. So I was happy with that. I added a little bit of paint here and there with my fingers because I think that looks nice to kind of blend in some of the layers. There's another one of the stamps from the same stamp set. It's like kind of a little swirly circle. So you can see how quickly you can make something using these Painty papers. Just really quickly, you know. Do some more mark making on there. Throw a focal image on there. I usually layer, so I put a layer on the back and put some ribbons on it and called it good. So this basket has a bunch of stamped images on tissue paper. I recently did a swap where we swapped stamped images on tissue paper with each other, so you end up getting a lot of stamped images that you don't have, and hopefully the person that you swapped with got some that they didn't have. So while I'm drawing my tag, I'm looking through to try to find a stamped image I want to use, and I end up with this cute little owl that's just an adorable stamp. Love it. So that's what I decided to put on my tag. I cut, in quotation marks, out the image using a water tank brush and then attached it to my tag using some fluid matte medium. So when you do that, it just fades right in and you can't even see the edges or anything. And it looks like, you know, you've stamped it on there or drawn it or whatever. I wanted a torn edge on the bottom, and then I wanted to make sure that the hole was punched. And I got out my water soluble crayons and started to color in the image a little bit, using the crayon direct to the paper and then blending it with my water tank brush. I made him have some blue eyes, and then I used pink and orange combined colors to fill in the body of the owl, and a little bit of a bluish green to do the leaves on the tree branch that he's sitting on. I like that he came on his own tree branch because then I didn't have to draw it. You know, I don't like it when things float. And then I was just talking about India ink, and so I got out my India ink and dip pen and did some scratchy doodly mark making all around the owl, filling in the details a little bit with just very scratchy, scribbly type lines using my dip pen and some India ink, which I think makes it stand out from the background more. This is just one of the many ways you can, make your focal image be more interesting and coming out from the background. Yeah, India ink is fun. Dip pens are fun. And then to finish it, which you won't see in the video, I did, let's see, what did I do? I sponged the edges with black. I mounted it on another piece of coral cardstock. I added some catch lights to the eyes with some gemstones, and I put some ribbons on it. So you'll see it at the end. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.